Okay, so Jurassic World Rebirth has been in cinemas for almost a whole entire week now, and it is already doing so well. But unfortunately, due to the release of Superman later this week, it seems as though it's going to have one of the biggest drop-offs in cinema history. So here's hoping that it will still be successful and maybe hit $700 million at the global box office. But it needs to hit a minimum of $971.6 million to average $1 billion per movie. So whether you love the movie or hate the movie, or you're like me who's just kind of down the middle regarding the movie, what we can't deny is that Jurassic is a massive success. But Jurassic World Rebirth certainly had its problems. We're trying to explain these problems, at least from my perspective, to the best of my ability as possible. But some people have been commenting this since the release of the movie. How did Duncan survive? That for some reason seems to be asked a lot more frequently than I actually thought it would be. Luckily enough, after my 12 watch-ins of Jurassic World Rebirth, I've been able to figure out. I think I figured it out after the third one or the second one, but either way, its spoiler-free weekend is now over, so we're going to be covering it in this video. Before we get into it, do consider leaving a like if you enjoyed the video at any given moment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want your daily dose of Jurassic content here on YouTube. But for now, without any further ado, let's get into how Duncan survived the D.Rex attack at the end of Jurassic World Rebirth. So to refresh your memory, towards the end of Jurassic World Rebirth, it seems as though everyone was getting away from the D.Rex and the Mutodon after the D.Rex actually took down the helicopter, which by the way, certainly has some size inconsistencies. How is it that large to have the helicopter in its mouth, but then in a few scenes later it's a lot smaller, eating Martin Krebs? There's definitely some size issues, that's for sure. But what we do know for a fact is that the D-Rex ended up tracking down where the rest of the group went, and that was to the docks where the boat is. Now, unfortunately, it seems like the boat had some issues and they couldn't really get it down and working in time before the D-Rex arrived on the dock, but Dr. Henry Loomis realized that the D-Rex is attracted to the light. So they tried to knock out the light, and this is because the D-Rex is a failed mutant of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We believe it was supposed to be the Indominus Rex at some stage, but we'll get into that theory for another day. But what we do know is that it's definitely got a base genome of Tyrannosaurus Rex, and of course from the first movie, we know that they are attracted to flares. So Duncan had the brilliant idea of lighting up a flare, taking it from Henry, and guiding the D-Rex away so everyone else is safe. But why did he do this, and how did he end up surviving? After it seems like Duncan died off screen, we get to see a flare being shot into the sky, and then Duncan is rescued on the boat and also got away from the island, so he is alive, as well as the D-Rex. So why did he do this, and how did he do this? Well, firstly, I believe is because he lost everyone. Duncan is one of those characters that you're just meant to feel sorry for. His partner left him, he lost his son, and recently he just lost 3 of his best friends, Bobby Atwater, Leclerc, and Nina. All within the same day, the same mission. So at this point in time, he must have just felt like he's got nothing to lose. There's also one scene in the movie where he promised that he's not going to let anything hurt them, aka the kids. And more specifically, he was talking to Isabella when she was worried that the boat wouldn't work. So he still feels like he has that degree of being able to save these people, especially the children, in a way that he couldn't save his son, which by the way we'll be explaining in a video later this week. So when he got to the docks and he saw that these kids could actually end up dying, and not only the kids there but Zora, his last remaining friend as far as we're aware, I think to him it was a no-brainer to keep the kids alive and to also keep his last remaining friend alive as well. He has nothing to lose, so of course he's going to sacrifice himself to take away the D-Rex from the situation and end up dying so that the others can get away freely. So he ended up dragging the D-Rex through the swamp, and then we presume that he actually ended up dying. Now I believe in one of the original endings, Mahershala Ali and Gareth Edwards were really pushing to have Duncan just die off there, but Universal said no, they actually wanted to keep him alive, so there's probably a reason for that, but either way he ended up surviving canonically. But how did he do this? He was face to face with that horrible D-Rex mutant. There seems to be no help in sight, and there's no way for him to escape. Well, there is one subtle detail that I've noticed in Jurassic World Rebirth, and it's very hard to unnotice once you notice it for the very first time. The flare. Yes, the flare, believe it or not. When we look at the flare that Duncan is holding, when a flare goes out, it doesn't just stop just like that. It actually starts to dwindle and it becomes lighter and lighter until it's just not there anymore. But that doesn't actually happen in Jurassic World Rebirth. You see the light, it's flashing a little bit, but then it just stops. And just a couple of seconds, maybe even less than a second after that, you actually hear the D.Rex roar in agony.
Duncan! Let's go! Come on!
So what could this mean? Well, we know that the flare hasn't been disrupted by the water because we literally saw it in the water completely fine. So the only other thing that comes to my mind is that actually Duncan threw the flare, whilst it's still burning, into the D.Rex's mouth, leading him to roar in such agony. It doesn't sound like a normal D.Rex roar, but it sounds like one where the D.Rex would roar in pain. And of course, with the sudden cut of the red flare, that makes more sense for it to go into the mouth of the creature. That would also explain why the D.Rex did a complete 180 and walk away from that exact position to go back where the other people were. He must have been terrified by Duncan and the flare itself, enough to the point where he decides to just walk back to the pontoon to try and get the rest of the people, because he's hungrier at the end of the day, right? So to quickly summarize this, the D.Rex is distracted by the flare. Duncan is then taking the D.Rex deep into the swamps, and we see the flare not just fade out and dwindle as if it was running out of energy, but instead the light just cuts, which implies that it's gone behind something and something large, more specifically the mouth of the D.Rex. This is then further supported by the agonizing roar that you hear the D.Rex make in the distance. And then just a few seconds later, the D.Rex is seen doing a 180 and walking back to the pontoon, completely away from what just happened with the flare. So in my opinion, and judging by everything that we have, I think it's safe to say that is how Duncan survived. He threw the burning hot flare into the mouth of the D.Rex. The D.Rex just didn't like that and wasn't expecting it, so decided to walk away. That explains how Duncan survives at the end of Jurassic World Rebirth. So there we have it, ladies and gents. I hope I've been able to explain this just a little bit better for those who are wondering. I knew as soon as I worked out that, there were going to be some people probably asking this question, but I wanted to wait until spoiler-free weekend could go so that I can put it straight in the thumbnail and the title. Spoiler-free weekend has finalized, so people are going to start spoiling it. Even official companies and big major industries, they follow all of this type of stuff. So spoiler-free weekend is over. That's why I waited for this video. But man, was it a good video. I was very excited to talk about it because it seems like it was something that would probably be asked by the fans, but I wasn't expecting it to be asked as much. Either way, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on the video if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here for your daily dose of Jurassic content here on YouTube. But most importantly, make sure you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, did you enjoy the video? Well, why not leave a like and subscribe for more Jurassic content? I appreciate every single one of you for reaching this point into the video and supporting me this far. If you wish to support me even further, then feel free to head on down to the description where you can find links to donate, my Patreon, and you can also press that join button to become a member here on YouTube and gain access to some awesome emojis. A massive thank you to all of the YouTube members for this month, as well as the amazing fans over on Patreon too. Your extra bit of support really goes a long way. But for now, I wish you a great rest of your day.